Good morning, students. It's wonderful talking to you, students, like this through video presentations. In fact, I've spoken to you already with respect to some topics earlier. Now, today, I have decided to do something related to lower classes. That is, let me deal with some concepts related to point, line segment, rays, lines, intersecting lines, parallel lines, perpendicular lines, etc., etc., etc. Now, while you think about simply a point, you are supposed to think about simply a dot put on this particular blackboard. Actually, this dot is nothing but simply a point. Any point which is drawn on a plane surface. Plane surface is supposed to be a point. Okay, now actually in this particular board itself, I can think of these two corners as 2 points. If I join these 2 points, you are able to visualize a particular, crease over here. It is called line segment. I repeat, if I am going to simply put a dot in a plane surface, it is nothing but a point. Now I can think about this edge is a point and this edge is also another point, and joining them, if I'm going to draw 2 points on a plane surface like this, joining them using a pen or pencil or etc., I'll get a line segment, which I can explain through normal this board also. Actually, if I'm going to choose the two edges over here, joining which I'm going to think about the line segment. If I'm going to think this edge to be capital A, this edge to be capital B, now I mean to say it is line segment AB. Okay, let it be. Now, if I'm going to think about this corner A, I have already told you, and if I'm going to extend this further up to infinity, it goes up to infinity. I don't know where it goes. It stops. Where it stops, I have no idea. Okay, if such a case arises, it's called a ray. It's called a ray. Ray has an end point, and if it moves towards the direction in which it is being directed. Therefore, I start at a point A, and if it moves towards this direction, I am supposed to think, let us say, ray AB. Okay, if I start with B, and if I am going to think about moving this direction over here, I am going to think about ray BA. That's called ray BA. Okay, let me consider these 2 points, and if I'm going to consider this line segment, and if I'm going to extend at both ends, it is supposed to be an example of a line. Line has no end points. It goes up to infinity at both ends. Simply, if I'm going to think about a dot put on a plane surface, it's called a point. If I'm going to think about 2 points and join them with a pencil or pen or whatever material you're going to draw there, it's supposed to be simply a line segment. Line segment will have 2 endpoints, which we can explain with a normal board itself. Okay, and joining these two endpoints over here, I get a line segment. Taking this as one endpoint and moving towards one direction, I'm going to think about a ray. And if I'm going to think about this particular segment being extended up to infinity at both ends, it's supposed to be example of a line. It's very simple for us to think of various examples by ourselves. It's very simple to think about various such examples by ourselves. Okay, let it be. Now, if I'm going to think about an angle, etc., which we can explain by using simply two pencils or 2 pens like this. Okay, imagine that you are given 2 pens like this. Okay, but you are supposed to imagine those are all thin lines with the waves being drawn over here in the board. Okay, it is in the form of cylinder, but don't think of it as a cylinder over here. Imagine yourself it is in the form of a simply the form of a thin line, let us imagine. Okay, let me consider this as a ray. Okay, if this ray is rotated and it's brought to some other position, I mean to say some angle is being produced. I repeat, if I start with the ray and if the ray is being rotated, and if I am going to bring it to some other position. If you bring another ray further, it's supposed to be an example of an angle. An angle is being produced. We will say the ray by which I started with is known as the initial side of the angle produced. The ray by which I end with is known as the terminal side of the angle produced. Okay, and the point about which the rotation takes place. You see, here I have this is the tip. This is the point. The point about which the rotation takes place is supposed to be the vertex of the angle produced, and the amount of rotation in general is called angle produced. Let me repeat. Just imagine that you are having a ray like this. Okay, I already told you. Imagine this is a thin line. Don't forget about this as a cylindrical format. Okay, now if I am going to rotate this particular ray OA, let me name this as OA. About O, if I rotate, and if it is taken to another position OB, I mean to say some angle is being produced. Then the first ray by which I started with, the initial ray by which I started with, is called the angle produced. The term final ray by which I end with is known as the terminal side of the angle produced. Then the particular point about which the rotation takes place is known as the vertex of the angle produced, and the amount of rotation in general is supposed to be the angle produced. Okay, let it be. In general, whenever I am going to rotate the rays like this in the anti-clockwise direction, such angles are considered to be positive. When the rotation takes place in the clockwise direction like this, such angles are considered to be negative. Okay, those are not to be those are to be considered only high class. Let it be. Okay, if I am going to think about one ray coinciding with each other like this, okay, I mean to say 0 degree is produced. 0 degree is equivalent to one line exactly coinciding with the other. Okay, if a ray is rotated like this, and I am going to think about those two rays to make angle 90 degrees. It's an example of a right angle. I repeat, if one ray exactly coincides with each other, is supposed to, I mean to say 0 degree is produced. If I am going to rotate this ray and if I am going to bring it to perpendicular to each other, okay, then I mean to say a right angle is being produced. Okay, if I am going to think about an angle between 0 degree and 90 degrees, if I am going to think about an angle between 0 degree and 90 degrees, like this, is supposed to be an acute angle. Any angle lying between 0 degree and 90 degree is supposed to be an acute angle. Okay, let me rotate the whole angle and the two rays are opposite to each other like this. I mean to say an angle 180 degrees is produced or is equivalent to a straight angle. It's called a straight angle. If I am going to rotate a ray in such a way that the terminal ray and initial ray, they both are opposite to each other. OA and OB are opposite to each other. If such a case arises, you mean to say a straight angle is produced. Okay, if I am going to think of an angle between 90 degrees and 180 degrees, it's supposed to be an obtuse angle. It's supposed to be an obtuse angle. Okay, it's easy for you to see over here. It's not 90 as well as it's not 180 degrees. It is in between 90 degrees and 180 degrees. Therefore, it's called an obtuse angle. Okay, if I'm going to start the ray over here and I do one full rotation, it comes over here, it's supposed to be a complete angle, or it's 360 degrees. We used to call it as 360 degrees. If I start a ray like this and if I do full rotation in the anti-clockwise direction, it coincides with the original ray again by which I started with, is supposed to be 360 degrees. I call it as otherwise complete angle. Okay, an angle which lies between, let us say, between 180 degrees and 360 degrees. This side you should see. Okay, this is the angle you are supposed to look at, this much. Between 180 degrees and this is 180 degrees, This full rotation is 360 degrees. It is in between 180 degrees and 360 degrees. Okay, such an angle. This angle is called anyway reflex angle. This is called reflex angle. Let me have a quick recap of whole thing. Okay, if I'm going to think about a ray rotated ray, let this be ray OA, is rotated and is taken to another ray OB. I mean to say some angle is being produced. Okay, the initial ray by which I started is called the initial side of the angle produced. This ray by which I end with is called the terminal side of the angle produced. The point about which the rotation takes place is known as the vertex of the angle produced, and amount of rotation in general is called the angle produced. Okay, I think it's clear to everybody. Then the ray coincides exactly with each other. I mean to say 0 degrees produced. Ray, they both are perpendicular to each other. They are supposed to be, it's supposed to be a right triangle. A right triangle is being produced. Angle between 0 and 90 degrees is supposed to be an acute angle. If the two rays are forming opposite, they are in the opposite directions. You mean to say an angle, straight angle is produced or 180 degrees is being produced. Okay, then angle between 90 degrees and 180 degrees is called obtuse angle. Then if I do full rotation in the anti-clockwise, come back, if I come back to the same position, it's supposed to be definitely called a complete angle, which is known as 360 degrees. Then an angle lying between 180 degrees and 360 degrees is called a reflex angle. I think this is very clear to everybody. In addition to that, you know very well, if I am going to think about a closed figure with three sides, is always called a triangle. Okay, is always called a triangle. I'll just give you a small experiment which gives you an easy way to understand sum of angles, interior angles of a triangle is 180 degrees. Just listen carefully. This is the triangle which I have chosen. I have drawn a triangle and cut it out over here. In fact, I call this angle to be A, this angle to be B, this angle to be C. In fact, this is nothing but triangle ABC, which is there in my hand anyway. What I will do is, I will just fold this angle A in such a way that it touches exactly the base BC. Okay, then I will fold this B also in such a way that it comes closer to angle A, which is already there. Okay, then I will fold this angle C also in such a way that it comes closer to angle A and C already available over here. Fold it properly. Okay, fold it properly. Okay, now if you look at it carefully, I have my angle A here, I have my angle B here, I have my angle C here. All of them, in fact, form a straight triangle. Now only we have seen straight triangle is given in terms of 180 degrees. Therefore, I am able to visualize automatically angle A plus angle B plus angle C is equal to 180 degrees. Let me repeat. I have chosen a triangle like this. I name it out as angle A, angle B, triangle ABC. This is my angle A, this is my angle B, this is my angle C. This is my top angle, vertical angle. Okay, this is my topmost angle. Okay, this is my base. This is my base. Okay, what I will do is, I will fold my angle A in such a way that it touches the base BC. I'll fold B in such a way that it comes closer to angle A like this. I will fold angle C in such a way that it comes closer to angle A and B already existing over there. Now, if you are able to visualize properly, I am able to think about angle A, angle B, angle C. They come closer to each other like this, and they all the three taken together form a straight triangle. Straight triangle is nothing but represented in terms of 180 degrees in degree measure. Now only we have seen. Now we are able to visualize angle A plus angle B plus angle C is equal to 180 degrees, which gives you nothing but sum of angles, interior angles of a triangle is 180 degrees. It's easy for anybody to follow by this particular simple paper folding technique. Anyway, I'd like to meet you students further with so many such videos further. If possible, I'll come back to lower classes also, or I'll meet the students of higher classes. Whichever way is possible, I will do so. Thank you so much for watching the videos, and if you like it better, you subscribe. Okay, I'll give you the link for you and you subscribe. Subscription costs nothing, and if you subscribe, the facility is if any such video is being uploaded, you will get notification automatically without even me telling you or somebody telling you. Thank you very much. We'll meet you again with a similar video further. Thank you. Thanks a lot.